why the hell we even make this podcast.
There's a lot of real estate podcasts, but none that were actually speaking to the general public and the average person and the consumer to actually guide them through what this is. And there's so much real estate just talk of inside business that does nobody any good.
And we wanted to start this podcast because you're right. Like, there is not a whole lot of podcasts that are aimed towards the consumer, which for me is kind of crazy considering how people release social media content.
What we're here to talk about today is our favorite topics and our favorite moments.
100th episode of Moving Sucks.
I want to do a podcast and get the good word out and advise people. And you said, cool, me too. And so we did it.
Welcome to our 100th episode of Moving Sucks.
I
have a special guest.
She is not a special guest. She was going through a thing and she needed some time to get her son into private school. And well, he is. And so I'm back. And what timing?
Yeah, lots happened since you were here last time, Jen. You want me to fill you in, or?
I already know that everybody's been bored to tears without me. We've been over that.
I've gotten a lot of compliments. They like my quick, to the point, 10, 12 minutes in and out. Done. Just the red meat.
So sorry to say that the word salads will be back.
The sweet musings and ramblings of Jen and Usky will return. But no, you should try it. You should try doing some of these independently. It was actually a lot of fun for me to fuck around with it, explore a little bit of my passion projects, which is, let's face it, pretty nitty gritty, economical type stuff. I even did another one about I think I did another one about Florida and Texas and
your favorite topic, which is what we're here to talk about today, is our favorite topics and our favorite moments. And we all know that the Florida, Texas topic and episodes are top of your list.
You're mocking me. I get it. That's fine. So,
I mean, it's on my list too, but for different reasons.
Yeah. But in the end, I wasn't wrong. So it's a tough spot to sell real estate now. But anyway, no, I think a good thing to do for this is to talk a little bit about, remind everybody why we started, what we've learned, some of our favorite topics, our highlights, favorite guests. Mm-hmm. And I know you're chomping at the bit here to talk about some of your favorite things. But why don't you just remind the audience, anyone who's tuning in for the first time, why the hell we even make this podcast?
Back in 2023, when you were writing a blog and I was going to start writing a blog and kind of started, I went to you and I went to an old teammate of ours and I said, I want to do a podcast instead. And she said, nah. And I said, I still want to do a podcast. And I did some research and found that there's a lot of real estate podcasts, but none that were actually speaking to the general public and the average person and the consumer to actually guide them through what this is. And there's so much real estate just talk of inside business that does nobody any good if they actually want to go buy a house. So I came to you and I said, I want to do a podcast and get the good word out and advise people and go to where the ears are and the eyes are. And you said, cool, me too. And so we did it. The end. And now we're here.
And that's in a nutshell.
We fumbled our way through and we tried out a bunch of different ways of doing this in person and getting equipment. I will say my favorite location, and actually it's been said to me that the viewers' favorite location so far has been the one in Schwenksville with the brick wall. And I will say that was still mine too. I like that. But then we went digital and now this is a lot easier to schedule and to just get episodes out. So
yeah. And I like that. I mean, those were the good old days, right? We were fumbling. We didn't know how to deal with the equipment. Did a lot of yelling.
Actually, a funny moment that I want to get stitched in here, if our editor can put it in, is us on camera while we're trying to set up. And we might need to bleep out some words, but
where? When?
Right here. Right here.
Oh my God, I wasn't recording at all.
Oh my God, Seth.
See, you got to red, yellow, and red.
So we just found out that when Seth up,
it needs to go red. And no,
I'll go red. good when you're not recording
when
test run.
No, I will say this much, that when I up, we laugh about it. When you up, we give you shit about it.
No, where? What are you talking about?
When we were fumbling around with the equipment on the very first day, we had the camera on. We're like, is this working? Is this working? And lots of F words are getting flown around and not knowing.
Yeah, and I think I didn't record something, and you were really mad, and then you remembered that you can't stay
because we
mad.
had just recorded a lot, and you were like, "Oops, I never hit record."
You're like, shit.
Pretty much
I'm
all
like-
of my favorite moments in this are going to be any opportunity I've had to just crash out.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, and we've had a lot of highlights too. We've had a lot of cool guests. People talk to me about this podcast. And like, we're not breaking the follower bank, we're not breaking the views bank, we're not getting impressions or whatever. And like, really, honestly, like that's gravy. But like, I have had this podcast has started so many conversations for me, and I've had so many people come up to me and say, I'm just like, I just love like kind of listening to you guys talk about, because you guys are talking about what I'm worried about, or what I'm, or I didn't even realize that was a thing, or like, I just wanted to like have title explained to me, or, what the hell is an interest rate? Like, how are interest rates and the Fed related and all that? And that's an extension of our business. Like, that's very fulfilling for me. And it was one of the reasons we did it. And we wanted to start this podcast, because you're right. Like, there is not a whole lot of podcasts that are aimed towards the consumer, which for me is kind of crazy considering how people release social media content. But then it's not, because there's not a whole lot of money in it. So a lot of podcasts are set up for agent to agent, because agents have money and they're like, there's some kind of sale at the end. Like, there's never been a sale. Like, we're never going to be, I had someone just at Thanksgiving ask, like, well, you ever consider being sponsored? I'm like, dude, sponsors it's a pain in the ass. I'm like, I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and I hear sponsorship for whatever, like a moving company or a title company.
Now listen to anybody listening. If you want to sponsor us, I'm not saying no.
You want sponsors?
Sure, why not?
I hate that shit, man.
Well,
When it
just
interrupts.
go forward through it. That's what I do. Just go tap, 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 tap.
What a great sales pitch to the sponsor. Real good. Yeah. Like,
I mean,
why don't
sponsors
you
on
sponsor
sponsor,
us?
or me as a listener, I go tap, 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 but
Tap, tap, tap. Yep. So you're basically giving our audience a reason not to listen to the sponsorship. So I'm sure the sponsors will be coming through the door any minute.
Oh, because I'm the first one to have ever thought it or do it. But okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So backing all the way up, I had on my, like, I don't have a vision board, but part of my long-term marketing plan for 2023 was to start a podcast, and I didn't even know what it was. And I think it was like July or August, and I hadn't thought about it since I had written it down in 2022. And Jen came to me, and I'm like, you know what? She's like, I want to do that. And I was like, it's really funny. I had this on my like plan. It's weird how the universe shows up, but I have found this to be a lot of fun. It hasn't always been the most convenient thing, but I've learned a ton.
In between.
What's that?
Life has lifed in between.
Yeah. And I have found it to be a really interesting exercise in me finding my voice, a little bit more of my voice, in terms of how I talk about real estate, what my philosophy about real estate is. And it's we're both, alpha, dopamine addicted realtors. So we like the sound of our own voice, and we like talking about real estate. So why don't you take us through some of the highlights? For our long-term listeners, they'll remember all this. Let's not get too kitschy. Let's not get too insidey, because, we don't want to lose the audience. But what are some of your favorite topics? I got some favorite topics for sure.
Well, my favorite topic is something that I did not expect to be my favorite topic, is your passion topic that I was just going to sit back and just throw my 2 cents in here and there, but then turned into my own personal soapbox of telling men off about getting off their ass and bucking up and taking the lead on getting qualified to buy a house.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I didn't expect to, but boy, did I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Are specifically talking to men, because I feel like this is more of an issue than we as females face. Men take on this full responsibility that they have to do this themselves. They need to provide, like they need to have it all figured out. Bitch, nobody has it all figured out. And like, we don't always expect you to either.
No, actually, since we've roasted that, there's been a lot more of a spotlight post presidential election. There has been a lot more of a spotlight put on that aspect of things with men and like their situation socioeconomically. And I think that is I was trying to talk about that type of stuff too, because it all goes into the same pot, right? Men are, yes, they have to buck up. Yes, they have to. But I think now people are starting to realize like affordability is actually across all genders and it's hard out there. But men have a very high level of duty to provide. And it's really hard when you tell men they can't, or men just can't because they can't afford it and they've done everything right. I think if I recall, that episode was more of I don't think it was a get off your ass. I think it was like really just a commentary on like where men are. You
Well,
might have done more of a get off your ass aspect of it. I did more, I think more of a deep dive on like where men are and like why they're where they're at.
yeah. It was also to point out a fact that if I look at just historically, and at least I can speak for myself in my own observations, that anytime there's been a holdup in any progress being made and somebody taking action, a couple making action on trying to buy a house, it's because the woman wasn't because the woman was the one holding them back and
Come on.
roll the clip.
I am finding out more and more how much I don't understand about the male's brain.
Mm-hmm.
You guys make no sense to me. I am trying to understand, but good grief. You think we're complicated. Yeah, right.
Men-
Stop overthinking it. Get your ego out of it. If you're struggling, say it. Like, stop thinking that you have to do all of this on your own and that you have to be the one to like take charge. Like, sure, if it makes you feel better, like, okay, sweetie. But like, talk, communicate.
Oh no, if that's what you said, that's fine, but I don't agree with that.
Egos get involved and just pride saying, I don't want to be made out to look like a failure once I look at my finances and we see how things really are. So if you don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist.
So you're contending that the reason that a couple doesn't take action is because of the men?
I am not putting an absolute statement out there. First of all, don't get me in trouble, because one of my favorite moments is when
Sounds like an absolute statement.
you also accused me of hating all boomers.
The boomers are just holding on to them for dear friggin' life, and we want them. And they need to downsize or like go to 55 plus communities or go to homes.
Don't
or
say it, Jen. Don't
go
say
somewhere safe.
Don't say it, Jen.
Or go to the afterlife. I'm just kidding.
That was great. That was a great episode.
That's on my list too.
Actually, it wasn't that you hated them. You were actually hoping for their demise so they would free up inventory. That's really what it was, Jen.
You're starting rumors. But go back and watch. They can go back and watch the episode of, I don't even remember what it was actually called, because in my head I call it the Telling Off Men episode.
Okay, I'll go. I got one. I go to the greatest hit. The one that we talked about at the top is this Texas versus Florida. That was over a year ago. And there's a ton, by the way, going on in the market right now. A woman I follow, Melody Wright, made a comment on this guy, and we can tag her and Adam Taggart from Thoughtful Money. She made a comment about 50% value decline in the housing market in 2026. And Newsweek picked it up last week. And now everybody is all over her, saying she's a doomer, saying she's got to do this, do that. But she was predicting in 2022, she was predicting actually California, Arizona, Florida, and Texas. And I've been watching her since, and that actually ended up becoming true. The state of things across the country is much, much different than it was when we first started this podcast. Yeah, big time. And since we've joined our new brokerage at Real, we have access to just so many more agents across the country. And I'm having conversations every week with people. And that is a passion project. And everyone from Florida hates my guts and they don't think I know what I'm talking about. And I don't know everything about Florida or Texas, but there's just not really anything to dispute at this point. So that was one of my favorites. And I love getting some hate mail and some texts from some Florida agents I knew telling me to stay in my lane. But depending on where you are in the country listening to this, we always talk about, you gotta talk to a local agent and an agent who actually understands like the stats, not like your nephew or your aunt or some high school friend who you don't know how to tell them that they don't want to, you don't want to use them. So in certain markets, like, you really got to work with the right people, for sure.
It was also one of our most viewed episodes too.
Yeah, you tag in Texas and Florida, and you tag in, I don't know how many people live in those two states. Probably
That's a number I do not have floating at the top of my head ever.
50 million probably between. It's probably about 30 million in Texas and maybe 45, I think 15 million in Florida. Actually,
In God's waiting room.
someone, if you're listening to this, look that up. I bet you I'm pretty freaking close. I bet you there's 18 million who live in Florida. How many people live in Florida?
What is the current population of people in Florida? What did you say?
18?
No. 23,000.
23,000?
million. Shut up. 23 million.
Pretty close.
32,215.
Yeah, not bad. Okay, fact check done. So yeah, so it's a lot of people, a lot of housing units. That was one of my favorites. But what about you? What's your next passion project that we talked about?
Very overlooked and very archived, far back, not archived, but old episode that I don't think it got the recognition that it deserved. It also probably could have been executed better. However, the point still stands. I love the topic, how real estate and dating are the same thing.
Yeah.
I still think it's hilarious. I still think it's true. And that's probably one I would be so happy to recreate, because I make this analogy with a client of mine a lot, and it has never not been true. Between the inventory of humans and inventory of houses, the longer you wait, the slimmer it gets and the more questionable it gets.
He always says, the longer somebody's days on market is, the more you got to ask why. And I'm like, well, you don't have to tell me twice. We're just going to unpack that because it's funny, it's educational,
and it's relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And days on market, is it because it's so unique that it needs that one perfect buyer who will love and appreciate it for all that it is? Or is it a raging piece of shit?
You also, I remember when we did this episode, you insisted on it being a two-parter. And I was like, this does not need to be a two-parter.
But it was.
No,
we recorded. It was going to be one of our launch episodes, and it sucked. And I said, I want to do a re-record of it, and I don't want to put this out. It was too long, and it needed to be broken up into two parts because it being one was just too much.
Okay.
So that was one that was supposed to launch with it, and then we didn't, and then we broke it up into two episodes.
Got it. I thought it was clever. I think that there's people who gained some value and obviously got some laughs out of it, because it definitely is true. And there's truth in all humor, right?
It was me. I'm the one who got all the laughs out of it. I think that's just
no. I talked to some of our super fans. I think they like that one, especially Jenna.
The point of marketing. Yeah. Does it really look that good, or is it just really good lighting and a lot of filters?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. I like that episode. I remember when you said it, I remember thinking it was pretty catchy. I will go next. I really enjoyed the ones about credit. I really enjoyed the one with UQual.
Yeah.
The history of the credit card. In fact, I was sitting at a poker table 2 days ago, and somehow somebody asked, "Oh, what was the first credit card? Like, when did credit cards become a thing?" And I'm like, technically in the 1950s, but they didn't really become commonplace till the 60s. And I explained the whole thing about Diners Club, and most people who are probably listening to this don't even know what Diners Club is, but Diners Club was the first credit card and trench coat salesman in New York, and like the whole thing. And I just found all that to be really interesting. That was our bestie at UQual, who talked about just literally like the history of how this whole credit system became a thing.
Talk about an episode that gave me a couple crash outs. That's on the list of one of my favorites too. And I actually really enjoyed that one. And I really enjoyed having JP on. He spoke really passionately about it. It was really educational. And honestly, anytime between him and Ryan Alexander, anytime I talk to them, I've learned something new, really beneficial about credit. Helps me help my clients. And I think we made it into a reel. One of my favorite moments from that episode is me saying it's stupid
Yeah.
that I get penalized for paying my car off, even though it just showed that I managed to be consistent and follow through for 6 years straight.
Your credit.
That's stupid. I paid off my car. That should be rewarded.
You're less of a liability, right? You have better debt to income ratio, but that is
Liability. I managed to be consistent for 6 years.
You're preaching to your
I
choir,
showed
girl.
consistency and
But the idea is,
determination.
if you're missing that, why do you think the average person is changing their car every 3 years?
Because they're dumb. Just kidding, everybody. If you do that, great for you.
Yet it takes a hit to my credit when I pay it off.
Sure.
Still a valid crash out.
Yeah, but also I thought it was super interesting.
It is very interesting.
I thought it was.
I'd recommend anybody to rewatch again or watch for the first time if you hadn't already, or if you missed it. And every episode that we're talking about, we'll just link in the description, so you can just easily go back and take a gander at it.
Yeah, and the reason I found it really interesting is because I'm quite the turbo nerd, but also I think it's good to give context to the system that everyone has to play with it. It's if you understand the rules of the game, that's like a hack in itself.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a lot of people that are just born into the money system, and they just are like, this is the rules, and they have no idea why or what or how it all came to be. And that, I feel like there was just so much tangible value. Anybody who really wants to understand credit, understand how the thing, we've got 3 really great episodes. We got 2 with Ryan Alexander, and we got 1 with JP from you.
Because it is just a game. It doesn't make sense. If you go down the giant rabbit hole and you are Ryan Alexander, who is an absolute turbo nerd on all things credit, impressively, I'm sure it technically makes sense, but also it's not designed for it to benefit us in the ways that we would really want.
Yeah,
I think it's so stupid.
I agree. I agree that it's stupid, but I think that there's also, you got to have some kind of a system. Now, the rules of the system are dumb.
Yeah.
And now they're like, they pulled the whole bottom out of some of the bottom of the requirements for credit scores in lending, which
that's going to be another topic entirely, because that's also.
If you were here, I would have and listened while in your absence, you would have heard that I had an entire episode about that. But
I'm going to get my take on it, but okay.
Got to show up. Jen, got to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, I thought that was a really good, and I liked it because I think it probably minute for minute was the most educational episode we put out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And then
also, we did do, and this isn't on here, but we did do a webinar with Ryan Alexander also, where we got a chance to talk and educate his audience. And that was also really fun. It's more of a sidebar because it's not our episodes, but I don't know. We can probably find some way to link it back together here. I don't know.
Yeah, or I think he might be able to download it off of his thing.
Yeah. But that's also something to check out, something that we guested on for his community. We shared that favorite moment and episode. My other favorite one that, again, I would re-record, maybe not re-record this episode, but I would love to do another episode on this. And I could probably do 5 more on this because I feel as passionately about this as I do the 20% down myth, which is things to not do yourself. I liked that episode. I don't think that got the credit that it deserved either. And I wish that it was more viewed and more watched, because if I have another buyer who tries to schedule their own showing again, I'm gonna lose my mind. Please stop scheduling your own showings. Please bother me. Please inconvenience me. It's literally my job.
I had a buyer. I showed them a property on Saturday and said, Sunday, I'm around. Brandon and I are around. On Monday morning, they say, oh, we contacted a Redfin agent and said,
stop it.
We just didn't want to bother you. So they clicked on the Redfin link, got in there. They met this woman, and the nice thing was that they were like, there is no question we're with the right agent. Sean was hilarious because he was like, you would think this woman was trying to hack the CIA with just trying to find the disclosure for this property. She sat in the kitchen. We walked the entire house, and she was still on her phone trying to figure out how to get the disclosure off of her phone.
To be fair,
and
I will say,
he just thought it was hilarious. She didn't know anything about the property. She didn't know anything about them. She didn't really understand how anything really worked. And no disrespect to Redfin. It happened to be the site that they were on. And I'm like, as my daughter says, excuse me? What? What are you doing? Why are you contacting a Redfin agent? Oh, we didn't want to bother you. I'm like, no, I am to be bothered.
Please bother me.
Please bother me.
I
It was
want
on
you to bother me.
It was a $975,000 house.
And
I was like,
please don't underestimate my wantingness to be bothered and to go. I love showings. I love buyers. I love getting out and doing that. Seth even always tells me anytime I come back from a showing, he's like, I can tell that you needed that, because I all of a sudden just go into like total go mode and I'm all fired up. I'm ready to get shit done. So like, always bother me. It's my job and I like my job and I don't want to have to backpedal. Give me all of your problems. Let me solve them. Let me do what needs to be done. And you just show up and do what I say.
yes.
That's all. There's that next episode.
I'm going to take a little bit of a detour and talk about a couple of my favorite guests. Okay.
Oh, I have a few too, but go ahead.
I think our bestie from Bridgeport was a good one. Jenna.
That's what I was going to say.
Jenna or Jonna. Jonna is a super fan.
Or Seth calls her Jenna who?
Jenna who? Yeah, because I know 5 Jennas.
For the longest time. Oh, his bestie Jenna. I always know who Jenna is, but anytime I would say, oh my God, Jenna said the funniest thing, he'd say, Jenna who?
Jenna who? It's fine.
It's okay.
No,
okay,
Sammy
Jenna, I got you.
What?
I said, it's okay. I always know who she is. I never have to say Jenna who. She's Jenna, my bestie.
Yeah, but you also don't remember any names of any agents ever.
No. I can tell you their life story. I could pretty verbatim say anything that I learned about them, just accept their name. Listen, if I was made too perfect, the world wouldn't be able to handle it.
Jen will call me and be like, I'm having this drag out negotiation, or this person didn't give me the information I wanted, or they put an offer deadline on Sunday. And I'm like, who's the agent? And I'm like, I don't. I'm like, okay. Because I know a lot of agents and if I can leverage my relationship.
I get the name. It's just that goes with that.
Doesn't get archived. Another one of my favorites is turning out to be one of my favorite clients is Sammy and Ray. That was one you were too cool to show up for again. And that was a good one because we talked, that was a real success story. And we just recently got them out of that house and into their forever home and got a bidding war on their existing house in the city, which that's not typical, but Sammy is a order taker. She just does what we tell them to do. And when our clients do it, we tell them to do. What happens, Jen? All their real estate dreams come true. That was one of my favorites.
One of my favorites was Brian and Sam Cannon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that was our in-person.
Mm-hmm.
That was our one try. That was our one try trying to do it. And I was like, I remember after that, I was like, we can't scale this. Like this took an act of Congress to get done.
Yeah, but it was fun. And I love them. And I like their story.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've got a great kitchen.
Yeah, they have a phenomenal kitchen and porch and house. I like their house.
Yeah.
But man, that kitchen.
And now we're helping their neighbors.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And if Brian tries to sabotage it because he likes them so much, tough, because I like them too.
Yeah. And they're destined for greener pastures, which is fun. My final favorite is Goodman's. That was another one you couldn't show up for. Ross and Emily.
Yeah, I got a really pretty picture from that one.
Yeah. Yeah. But Ross is like very much a super fan. He's like a roadie.
I know.
Yeah.
He's missed me. That I know.
Listen. I don't know. You're back. Are you back for good?
I'm back.
You're back for good.
I'm back.
Okay. So what else do you think we want to talk about today in terms of just the trajectory of the podcast? Where do you want to take it? What do you think is going to be our focus for 2026 going forward here?
Oh, there's so much changing. This is going to be a really fun year to have a podcast about real estate on, because the past 5 years, the real estate market has just been entirely abnormal and should not have been normalized for what it was. And there's going to be some slowing down. I'd also like to make mention of the episode of The Crash That Wasn't, which I will say, I'll throw that in as a highlight because it got the most hate. And
I don't think this real estate market is ever going to crash.
A
People
crash
think
looks like-
crash and they think 2008, or they just hear crash and they think, oh, this can't go on forever. It's going to crash and home prices are going to go down, and then I'll be able to get in and then feel some kind of at least like regain of power over the choices that they're making. It's not going to happen in the way that people think it's going to happen again. I think that there may be a correction that might happen, but that's not a crash.
If people lose their jobs, I don't care how good the schools are, how low the taxes are, how safe it is. I don't care. People lose jobs in mass. And even the people who don't lose the jobs, they feel less safe. That is going to affect any housing market. Now, is it going to create a 2008 environment? Probably not in a market like ours.
And it got a lot of conversations going on the internet over it. And it pissed a lot of people off. And I will say, and for the record, it still hasn't crashed, in my defense. Not entirely. And if I am presented with new information in a developing market, I am not so hard-headed that I stick my flag in the ground and say, I'm not changing my opinion. When presented with new information, I adjust my views and opinions accordingly because I'm not that prideful.
You're not that what?
Prideful.
Prideful.
So we'll see what that looks like in 2026. But I think that there's quite a shift going on. And it'll be really interesting to see like how those where those conversations go.
Yeah, I'm
There's so much big news that's coming out every day about the country. So, who knows what there is to report on next.
Yeah, so for me, I think real estate is going to get. So the thing that has always bothered me about our industry is that it's positive all the time. And I think I really think that's one of the underlying reasons like I was excited about this podcast is because I'm not all gumdrops and lollipops and rainbows and sunshine. I feel that
we'll make all of your dreams come true, but this is not all sunshine and lollipops and rainbows.
No, but in the end, I'm like, I just look at it as where the real estate industry is so raw. It's just, I'm just going to say it. It's bad for business for people to say it's not a good time to buy and sell a house. It's never a good time to tell somebody not to transact because that means that our industry makes less money. And listen, there are a ton of agents out there, lenders who just do the right thing. There's a lot of money surrounding this industry. And I think that this industry is going to run in head on into what you've now seen over the last 4 to 6 weeks in our political sphere, which is all about affordability. So I think affordability was a huge thing before the election. The Republicans, they tapped into it. And then they gave like a grace period. And that grace period is running out because there were promises made that affordability was going to be ease, all the prices were going to come down and all that. And meanwhile, people don't really understand inflation if they think that's even something that happens. Like prices really don't come down. You just need them to stall and let wages catch up.
Well, that's not happening. So.
But there's going to be a kind of a collision here. And I'm interested to see how my industry or our industry does with this, where we basically have this narrative in our political and conversation and the real world about affordability and how expensive things are. And real estate, like trying to like
navigate.
Can't navigate all of this because there's just this big like spotlight now on affordability again. And like I said, one of the reasons I like producing this podcast is so people have like real good advice, and like sometimes it's not always the best time to buy. Sometimes it's strategic to rent. I was just on a phone with a downsizer and she's like, we really want to downsize. We don't need this house anymore. But she said, we can't find what we want. We're just going to rent. And that's a perfectly fair position to be. And then I'm going to make less money. The lender won't make any money, whatever. But I'm really going to be interested to see where the politics and the real estate industry kind of collide, plus just adding in all the economic data that we're not really getting right now between the shutdown. Like I'm interested to see where jobs end up. I'm interested to see where some of this data ends up. And then also on YouTube, there is like a full-on war between doomers and non-doomers for real estate. So that's where I've got my popcorn sat. But in the end, this podcast will always be about giving good advice. It's just an extension of how we do business.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you got a cat.
If somebody's not watching, that was probably very startling. But my cat just decided to join us. But to that point, I was speaking about this with who was one of our guests, Megan Bunley. She also was a good episode. And I was on a rant with her on the phone just about, if there's one message that I can get out to people in 2026, it's that I'm not being a pushy salesperson when I say, get on a call. Let's talk to a lender. So many people, it's not the fact that people don't want to buy a house, it's that so many people just feel like they can't and then just assume a lot when they're not actually getting the actual answers or know that there are so many options available that they had never even heard of or explored because they just assume that they can't. And it's not that they don't want to. And so her and I came up with this whole platform. We're going to start driving home on a regular basis called Planning Without Pressure so that we can just communicate. You can plan, you have to plan ahead of time. And it's a longer planning process than it was before to be able to do this, but it can be possible. And find if it's not, to get on a path and plan your own direction of how to get there instead of just sitting in this limbo of, oh, like I just can't, and then never getting anywhere. And then you're just like wasting time that could be productive, or you're just guessing and throwing kind of things out there because you think this is the right thing to do instead of us being able to guide you from literally point A to point B and save you a lot of trial and error. So I'm excited to start kicking that off. And that's going to bleed into this, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is just one of our just underlying themes, which is that it's never too soon. And that woman who is downsizing, I said that I was like, it's literally impossible to start too early because once we get a plan together, we just wait to deploy it. And
what I tell people is, okay, who told you that you can't? If a lender tells me that you can't, I'll shut up. I'll go away. No, I won't. I want to make a plan for you. But let the right people tell you that you can't.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And if that is the case, like it's not like the lender just says, okay, give me all your stuff. I'm going to run your credits and run it into the ground. Like, no, they don't. First of all, that's a misconception. But you're going to be able to figure out like, why or why not you're ready right now. And if you're not ready right now, what does that mean? What does that look like? And is it a matter of pay this down first? Because if you're going to pay on this, it could actually be hurting you instead of helping you. And there's just so many things that are involved that like, all I just want is to just show people. And I'm not a pushy salesperson when I say, go find out. Let's go find out together. Please.
I can't tell you how many people have gotten on these calls with our lender and they've looked at each other and been like, oh my God, like this, we can do it. We can do it. And like literally just last week, I got on with a couple and they're like, we know we're going to be home sale contingent. We explained what a recast was. They were like, wait. And Mike, our lender, was like, yeah. He's like, you guys find something this weekend. He's like, I'll send a pre-approval. You guys are good. And they were thinking May. They were thinking May because he had to wait for some compensation, some bonus or something, or some change in his compensation. And you'd be amazed. And we're not, and also, here's the other thing, we're not doing it recklessly. They're good. They're good. They can do it. And that has completely changed their viewpoint. They want to start looking after the new year and they're ready to go. And we're going to get out and just see a couple things before Christmas, but then they'll be ready to put pen to paper after the new year. And that's important for a couple trying to start a family. That changes things. So yeah, I cannot understate the importance of getting with an agent who has got your best interest at heart and they're not pushy and none of the people they use are pushy. And usually what that means is they got plenty of business. They help a lot of people, so they don't have to really run down commissions. They can meet with you. If it's not the right time, if it's another year, that's totally fine. Just park you, check in on you every once in a while, get a plan together, get your credit up, get your savings up, whatever. That is going to be the name of the game. So I'm really interested to see what 2026 brings, even more than 2025. And honestly, I don't think rates are going to improve all that much. I hate to say it. I'm just going to say it. I don't think they're going to improve that much.
Yeah. I mean, I think that
you got a prediction?
Come the end of December, I think we should have an episode on 2026 predictions.
Yeah.
We've done that in the past. We should look back on those too.
What's that?
We should go look back on those. I'm pretty sure we did that in 2024. Predictions for 2025.
I don't remember, but we should definitely do it.
I think we did it in your dining room at your house, but I could be wrong. I think I was having issues with my boots. which is still an issue.
Okay, good
Issue.
reference point.
Yeah, I think we should do a predictions episode. That'll be another day.
Okay.
But yeah,
Listen,
this has been a good 100 episodes.
Yeah, 100 episodes. We'll do another 100 episodes. And also during one of the, from 101 to 200, maybe Jen just gets on and raps a little bit. Maybe Jen just gets on here and chats with everybody.
I love to talk.
I
have no shortage of
could have
words.
fooled,
And
could
if
have
I
fooled
do,
me. I'm really surprised you haven't asked me for the login. Just get on here and just talk.
Just rip.
You got nothing new to say? You out of words?
Never. If I'm out of words, be afraid.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate everyone's support. If you are a lifer or you're new to seeing us,
I want to know what everybody else's favorite moments are.
Okay.
Especially those who have seen a lot of these, even if it's a favorite reel or short, wherever you're watching it, or just a favorite episode in general. I want to know the favorite moments.
Yeah, and we can put a list of all the episodes in the comments or whatever and see. But also, I wouldn't have Eunice link them all, but there is actually a treasure trove, guys, of information that is evergreen, meaning it never goes out of style. Good advice. But anyone has any questions about anything we've talked about, and this is what we do all day, every day. This isn't a side hustle for us.
No.
This podcast is, but real estate and being real estate experts is not. But yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. And then welcome back, Jen. I'm glad.
It wouldn't be an episode with me if it wasn't 45 minutes long.
It would not be. And also, are we going to be able to enjoy a Christmas themed for the next four weeks? Christmas themed podcast?
Yeah. So I don't have a bare wall in my house right now because it's Christmas season and it looks like the North Pole blew up in my entire house, which I love. And it's cozy. So everybody enjoy the new backdrop until my house feels naked and bare come mid-January. Oh.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week and hopefully Jen shows up.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.